Monster High 13 Wishes is the video game adaptation of a movie of the same name. I have to say that out of all the reviews that I have done, the creators of this game have accomplished something that I've never seen before in all the games that I've reviewed. There is just too much of everything, yet nothing of substance. You could tell that the creators decided early on that the mantra would be go big or go home. And honestly, they should have just gone home. They overdo everything in this game to ridiculous levels. I swear they must think, yeah, kids are gonna love open worlds that take forever to get anywhere while looking at horrendously ugly graphics. But they won't care, because it's a licensed game and they're gonna play their favorite people. It had to be what they were thinking. Now the story starts out with an overly long cutscene which explains almost everything that I assume happened in the movie. The whole thing was just strange. They set up that you need to collect 13 pieces of a mirror in order to save the school from an evil genie. So you would think that's where they're going to start the game from. Imagine my surprise when they already collected 12 of the pieces in the mirror, and they were going to take on the genie. Normally, good game design would have you go on the quest to find those 12 pieces, like I assume they did in the movie. Well, that's my error, since I was expecting good design. But anyways, there's an eclipse and the pieces they collected get spread back into the genie's bottle. So why the heck did you bother showing us that you collected them, only to have them put back again? Why didn't the creators just use the plotline they already had set up? Now the graphics were appalling. There were only a few textures that make up a level. This is something that you might expect on an N64 game, but only like the worst N64 game out there. Now you start off in Monster High, which of course is huge, and it has basically no one in it. As you're blindly going through the school looking for a place to start playing the game, you'll come across the most ridiculous pool you'll ever see in your life. It, like everything else in this game, goes on forever. Not only would this thing be a death trap for kids, since it would be very hard to keep a lifeguard to watch all the kids in this pool, but it is crazy deep. It had to be at least 100 feet or more deep. Who builds a pool this big? It's insanity. Anyways, after you walk the long walk over to the portal, because of course it has to be a long walk, you're finally able to go into a level to play. Now, just like everything else, the levels were huge. The first level was just ridiculous. It had long stretches where you had to run to get to your goal. Oh, and those goals? Oh, there's another thing that was just galling. This is basically just a collectathon. You finish the objectives to unlock other areas to explore. Okay, I can run with that. However, you better have a pen and paper ready because these objectives only show you in a scrollable form before you enter the level and list form when you complete it. So you're going to need to write down what you need to do. Now the objectives don't really change, except for the amount of things that you need to collect. So you're going to need to write them down so you remember how many you need to collect, or how many enemies you need to beat. Normally in these types of games, if you press the pause button, or go into a menu, you can see the list of objectives. Not in this game though. It's like the creators are trying to make it harder to play this children's game. Like I said, these levels would often be open and free to explore. And while that might sound cool in theory, it's not. There is nothing of interest to find, except maybe some collectibles. The animations on the enemies were a joke. You would fight monsters who barely had any life or animations to them. When you killed them, they basically just vanished. Almost like they popped off the screen. It was just so odd to see. Now, each of your ghoul friends have different abilities and special powers they could do. Like one can detach their hand, or another can swim, for example. The level designs were very drab. It was like something you might see in a tutorial for a game, only in every level. You can play with a second player, but it's just like in Mario Galaxy where you point at things on the screen to help the player. But unlike in Mario Galaxy where it could come in handy against the enemies, there really is no point in this game since the enemies are a joke and you won't need any help to kill them. Monster High 13 Wishes was awful. It was graphically ugly, the level designs were terrible, and it was just overall really boring to play. So if I could have a genie that would grant me 13 wishes, I would only need one wish, and that would be to make this game never exist. So I definitely think you should skip this game.